Good morning, my dear friends and family. Operator Starsky joins the chat. It's so good to see you as always. Aliosa and Michaels, hello, my friend, and Don and James, Jesnila, Katya, there in the chat as always, and Mike, Groupier, and everyone else. It's so good to see you, my friends. Brian, my clock is not slow. It's like almost perfect, right? So, very welcome to our traditional morning coffee and news review, the only show where you can not only enjoy extra sarcasm, but also beautiful sounds of drill and construction workers cursing outside the window, because what else did you expect? Hello, Ali. Hello, Croupier once again, and Jenny and Hunter. Welcome, and let's check out the news, guys. We will start with some rather good updates. Hello, Steve and Nurse Sean, and we will start with rather good updates, because we've had a lot of interesting updates over throughout the night. I just wanted to jump out of the bed and stream for you, my friends, in the midnights. Greg, thank you for joining us as well, and Paul and John, and it wasn't me, Guten Morgen, the Aussie, but I decided to wait just a bit and let us all have just a tiny rest before this morning stream. So without further ado, let's start with, I would say, great update from Vilna. It's a village in the Donetsk Oblast where good Ukrainian drones together with good Ukrainian defenders actually cleared the village from the Russian terrorists and liberated this village, taking 7 Russian invaders as prisoners. All right, we can see them really jumping out of their little hole where they were hiding, and they will not just receive compensation from the Terrorist Federation, but they will also receive good food, medical treatment, access to all sorts of international Red Cross, other human rights protection organizations, and breathe the amazing air of democracy in Ukrainian prison. That is literally the success story. I would call it this way, the success story, because that is something that can actually save lives of those Russian terrorists. They can enjoy staying alive, which is something I cannot say about the Russian terrorists who decided not to. And here the Birds of Madjar actually shared some of the footage from I'm not sure how to call it. They decided to make a bunch of mug shots, right, of the Russian terrorists using their drones. And by the way, this video is like 2 minutes long, all right, and every 2 or 3 seconds you can see new Russian face on the screen, right? I tried to count how many mug shots were taking here in this specific video, but it's literally impossible. All right, I was enjoying this video very much. Unfortunately, it has, oh my God, unfortunately it has a copyrighted soundtrack, so I cannot play it here, but it's very good. All right, something that wakes you up. Here, for example, there was this poor Russian dude, like literally standing next to the cemetery. I think it was a very successful choice of place to record this video. Like, what can I say? Like, there's so many of them, and that's just literally just one video, right? Remember in 2022 or 2023, the Russian, oh my God, he decided to touch the drone. Don't touch the drone. So, my God, what was his name? Gerasimov, or what was his name? I think Gerasimov. Gerasimov actually said that 97% of Russian terrorists who invade Ukraine, they actually return home in good condition, right? Like they actually return home safe and healthy and everything else. I cannot say that they return home healthy, but they return home good, right? So we have another case, okay, Записки ветерана. This is actually a very, very cringe Russian Telegram channel where the administrator of this channel, the Russian propagandist, actually decided to justify the recent Russian strike on Kharkiv, specifically when the Russian terrorists hit a kindergarten in Kharkiv. And basically, what did he say? He says, administration of Kharkiv and Ukrainian law enforcement basically made a theatric event, all right, a theatric installation, which of course didn't work. They found whatever building where Ukrainians had non-functioning kindergarten, and then they decided to make a photo session together with different kids, and some kids were shown from back. Apparently they were dolls. Of course, no kids died. Everything was very, very bad, and they say the spectacle, the theater in Bucha was made better, and as a punishment, Kharkiv should be bombed by Russian gliding bombs. How do you like that? So first of all, he tries to justify the terror-Russian strike on the kindergarten, which, by the way, was shown not only by the Ukrainian media, but all sorts of media present there in Kharkiv at that time. And also he mentions Bucha, that, again, they tried to justify, all right, they try to justify their atrocities in Bucha, because that's basically what Russian army does every single time they invade a foreign country, and they invade foreign countries a lot, they do it very, very often, and they try to justify it, or say that, look, like those are mannequins, actually Hollywood, set everything up and everything else. And this dumb fuck actually says, because Kharkiv set all this up, we should hit it with gliding bombs. Just so you could understand the orcish mentality, but one thing is even funnier than that, actually. So Lavrov recently stated that the Russian Terrorist Federation doesn't consider it violating the Budapest Memorandum. And there was only one thing even funnier than that, actually. It's when in India last year he said that Russia didn't invade Ukraine. How can they do that? Oh my God, I'm trying to understand how can they take reality and turn it into something completely different. Only Russians are able to do that, right? Only Russians can literally, I don't know, like, Vasily, I am not fucking your wife, you're sleeping, Kirill Dmitriev, the Russian dude who arrived to the United States to beg Trump not to place sanctions on the Russian oil companies, gifted Anna Paulina Luna with flowers and chocolate with quotes made by Vladimir Putin, according to the terror-Russian propaganda agency Itar-TASS. So that is literally the present that was delivered to Anna Paulina Luna. Here, by the way, it says we don't leave our men behind, right? We don't leave our guys, our people behind. Which is of course a lie, because we've all seen many cases when Russians were literally shooting their wounded. We've all seen that, like the internet is full of that footage. But if you want to know who Anna Paulina Luna actually works for, all right, that's literally the answer, all right here. Great words of a great man. There is no point in having a conversation with Russia from the standpoint of power. Vladimir Putin, literally the dude who is struggling 4 years in Ukraine and cannot capture even a single major city. Just to remind you, 2022 Russia controlled 28% of Ukrainian territory. 2025 it's 19. All right. To all those who say that Russia is gloriously winning the war in Ukraine, Ukraine cannot win, Ukraine is losing, like literally check facts. All right. Any chat GPT or whatever will tell you the numbers, because they can Google the sources, Google the statistics, and it's very easy to check actually. All right, in 2025 Russia controls less territory than in 2022. Let's move on. Anna Paulina Luna, I have thoughts why Russians chose her, all right, because Russia actually, and this is a serious topic, Russians are using this interesting approach where instead of like threatening the United States, threatening the West, they do the opposite thing. They say that we are your friends. Remember 2023, 2024 in Twitter, one of the most popular tags was Russia is not the enemy. That's a very interesting approach, and this approach is being performed through people like Anna Paulina Luna, who actually say we don't have to fight with Russia. Russia is good. We have to cooperate. Ukrainians are evil. Europe is evil. All right, everyone else is evil. But for example, China, Russia, North Korea, Cuba, Iran, they're good. All right. So I understand why she was chosen for this special military operation. Let me know what you think. All right. Jilkia, good morning. Goldfingers, also good morning. And Michael and Bridget, so good to see you. Sarah, Mr. Meissner, Hunter Wilk, and Beep. And Ozzy Welder, hello, bro. Hello. Betty Jin, welcome to our stream, and we will check out this amazing video. So the main intelligence directorate showcased destruction of one of the Russian troop carrying ships, another one, and also RLS 96L6 is a air defense complex, also known as S-400, and 2 more radio location systems. Good hunting, good hunting. Besant surprised me, I would say positively surprised me, calling Dmitriev a propagandist who actually lies about sanctions. During his interview in the Face of the Nation at CBS, the host, Margaret Brennan, asked him to comment the words of Kirill Dmitriev that actually sanctions will not do absolutely anything to the Russian oil industry, that, you know, Russians love this shit. They say sanctions are beneficial, all right? Like, we lost McDonald's, we lost, I don't know, good cars, we lost aviation basically, because we cannot upkeep our aviation, we cannot provide our aircraft, our Boeings and Airbuses with proper maintenance, and that is the reason, by the way, why amount of air incidents, all right, aviation-related incidents in Russia increased by whopping 200% over the past 4 years. But everything is good. Sanctions are so beneficial for the terrorist federation. No, that queue of people trying to find fish, or like those babushkas fighting over sugar, everything's fine, actually, all right? Everything's fine. Tucker Carlson is not showing that in his video. It means it doesn't exist, all right? Margaret Brennan asked Besant's thoughts on that, and Besant said that I believe that Russia will feel the pain very first. And Margaret, do you really want to publish what the Russian propagandist is saying? Because what else can he say? That everything will be bad and that will make Putin, force Putin to negotiate. That's basically his words. Very interesting points of view. I almost agree on that. The only thing is that Russia is feeling pain since they were born, actually, and they already live in shit, all right? So the sanctions are a proper thing to do, okay? We can already see those amazing queues of Russians living, literally standing, trying to find gas and fuel for their cars, or ride those kilometers of queue. Angry people like that dude over there. Oh my god, he's iconic, all right? I gotta use him somewhere. Like this one. Screaming and shouting and recording all those angry videos like, oh my god, Russia is running out of fuel, the fuckers are ramping up prices, all right? Who would have thought that we will see that in Russia, a country that actually has this never-ending source of fuel and gas for the whole world, all right? And now not only they cannot sell all their shit to the civilized countries, but also they don't have fuel for their own population. How crazy is that? So my point of view is that Russians already live in shit, and the worse it gets, yes, it kind of shatters their belief that everything's fine, you know, that pink bubble they live in, you know, that cartoon that they made for themselves, cartoon in their mind, that everything's fine, Putin cares about everything and stuff like that. It can shatter it just a bit, all right? But generally, only the complete economical isolation of the terrorist federation can bring some sort of results, all right? Only the complete isolation and not just sanctions against the Russian oil companies, but also the sanctions against everything else. Because you can see, for example, again, like Tucker Carlson and everything else, I'm not even going to mention that shit, but you can see, for example, Russian bloggers going to their stores and like, look, we still have some good things here. We have candies, we have cookies, we have potato, we have like chicken from time to time, and things like that. Your sanctions don't work and stuff. But the question is, what is literally sanctioned in the terrorist federation, all right? Because, for example, if we're talking about McDonald's and different companies exiting terrorist federation, they do it voluntarily, all right? They do it because it's shameful to actually keep working in the terrorist federation, support their war, not only the war against Ukraine, but the hybrid war against Western countries. It's absolutely shameful and disgusting if they keep doing that, like Bacardi, for example, right? Bacardi that established a new factory in Dagestan, all right? Herzenkönig, guten Morgen. So It's shameful, and that is why those companies exit these. Oh, and Betty Jean, by the way, did I say hello? So good to see you. And they exit Russia voluntarily. What the sanctions do? The sanctions are aimed against Russian weaponry, all right, Russian resources, Russian energy. The sanctions are aimed at stopping necessary parts and components from entering Russia, because we know that Russians don't repair their kindergartens or schools, but Russians build bombs and cruise missiles to kill Ukrainians, all right? Because for Russians, that's much more important than solving problems inside of their terrorist federation that is currently falling apart. That is the main thing, all right? And we are not talking about sanctions against food export or import. We're not talking about sanctions against other Russian goods, all right? We're talking about sanctions against technology that can be used as weapon. So, of course, nobody is sanctioning Russian chicken, Russian kapusta, Russian ryba, all that shit in their stores. And that is the reason why they go into a grocery store and show everything like, we are not sanctioned, everything's good, all right? Of course it's good, because nobody sanctions that shit, all right? Nobody sanctions your shit, nobody sanctions your beetroot, nobody sanctions your sausage, which, by the way, sucks balls. It's just so bad. Like, the food in Russia is generally so bad. God. People who say that Ukrainians and Russians are the same have absolutely no idea about the gap, between these civilizations. Russian food sucks balls, all right, and basically stinks like them as well. Russian cuisine is bad. People who say that Ukrainians and Russians are the same have never tasted proper Ukrainian stuff, all right? But let's return to the main topic, because I got a bit carried away, like I always do these days. In the Russian Serpukhova, another oil refinery was hit. Bingo. It's not far from Moscow, all right? The update is not the freshest one. This one comes from yesterday, actually. I believe yesterday evening, late afternoon, all right? So, less liters of fuel for Russian tanks, less kilograms of cellulite on the asses of the Russian drivers, who now have to go to their jobs on foot, all right? So basically they should thank Ukrainian drones for taking care of their health and everything else. Serpukhova, my friends, you can mark it in your bingo cards. You may ask yourself, why am I showing these butterflies to you? So you remember the 23-year-old Ukrainian Irina Zarutska that was murdered in the United States in the train. Gary Pavulan, a scientist, decided to name this species of butterfly after this Ukrainian woman. He said that the butterfly will be called Irina's Azure, all right? And this is the way her name will be remembered forever. So the family of Irina actually expressed their gratitude to the scientist who named this newly discovered butterfly species after her, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. We have another documented case of the Russian war crime. Yesterday, the Russian terrorists hit a bus full of civilian people on the street in the Sumy Oblast. We know that one man unfortunately lost his life and 10 civilians were wounded. But that's like just another evidence, all right? Just another evidence for The Hague. Because when the terrorist federation falls apart and we will be literally holding trials over the Russian war criminals, Russians will be paying us reparations and everything else. Russian kids will be coming to Bucha, on school trips and paying tribute and memorizing the victims in Bucha, all the people that were killed by their own fathers and things like that, and they will be saying never again. So we will need a lot of that footage to prove that the Russian crimes were committed. And of course, we all know that this day is coming, and Russians already feel that with their rear organ, actually, that this day is coming. They're already preparing internally, all right, even despite the fact that they say like, nothing will change, but we know that it's not true. And history proved them wrong already multiple times. And speaking of karma, all right, we have a footage from the dam that I was talking about, I believe, yesterday. All right, so Russians showing their dam at Belgorod water reservoir, all right? And this dam is falling apart, all right? I thought it was a strike carried out by good Ukrainian drones or something like that, but now I am not sure, because my friends, remember, I think a year or 2 years ago, the Russians said that they actually had this disaster when beavers destroyed the Russian dam, and they actually officially stated that they were beavers, okay? And looking at this dam, I think that that might be the case as well, because Michael Heimers visit the count. I don't know. Like to me, it could be beavers, definitely. Like Russians saying, like those are beavers, could be beavers. Who knows? Here, for example, we have an animated map. It's a satellite animation. All right. Showing the exact amount of destruction in the terrorist federation caused by those beavers, all right? Flying beavers, maybe flying, maybe like crawling, I don't really know. I know that they swim, all right? I'm not a big expert in beavers, all right? I know that they have like those big tails and whiskers. They destroy dams and things like that. Russians are so much afraid of those beavers. So we can see that something is happening in the terrorist federation, right? Judging from that satellite footage. And before the supporters of the Russian terrorism start shouting, screaming, Ukrainian terrorists, or like those terrorist beavers, you cannot do that, that's a civilian infrastructure and everything else. Guys, at this point in 2025, whatever shit happens in the terrorist federation is 100% justified by Jesus Christ, by Allah, by Buddha, by I don't know, what was his name? By Obi-Wan Kenobi, by whoever, any shit in the terrorist federation is completely 100% justified, because whatever shit is happening there, they deserved it. And there's generally only one person that you can blame for that. That is literally Vladimir Huilo Putin himself. That's it. Like, all right, dam collapses, beavers, yeah, karma, yeah, but Putin is to blame, all right? Because generally Russians deserve what is happening on their territory in 2025. Starsky loves beaver. Let's say again, I'm not an expert in beavers. All right, I'm not an expert in beavers, but I know a thing or two about beavers. Okay, I know that beavers are good. We all love beavers. We all love good beavers. So let's return to our collection of the Russian cringe, all right? Because here, for example, I have a screenshot from a Russian RIA Novosti, all right, Russian media, that quotes Kirill Dmitriev, who says that I will translate this for you so you could understand the level of hypocrisy. They say ruble, the Russian ruble, I still don't know how to write it properly, ruble, whatever. They say ruble became the most successful currency of the year, according to Kirill Dmitriev. All right. That's again referring to the parallel reality that Russians build for themselves, right? Saying that we never invaded Ukraine, we never violated Budapest Memorandum. No, it's not me taking a dump in your children's playgrounds. You're dreaming. So that's from the same field, all right? That's the same shit. Mercado, Andrew, hello, my friend. We are basically discussing the Russian cringe as always. Beavers destroying Russian dams again. Those beavers, but beavers are good, right? We all love a good beaver. So. Returning to Kirill Dmitriev, ruble became the most successful currency of the year, according to this individual. Just to remind you, ruble nowadays costs 1 cent, all right? 1 cent equals 1 Russian ruble. That's basically the value of its most successful currency of the year. Just so you know, right? I prefer bald beavers. We have different tastes, my friend. Like bald, not bald, beavers with whiskers, whatever. They are cute. They're cute. All right, let's not get carried away. Let's switch to the main updates, all right? The main updates of tonight. So, several pieces of footage coming from the capital of the terrorist federation. Actually, Minister for the Recovery of Stolen Toilets, I know what we're talking about, all right? Like, I know what beaver is, trust me. Let's stop talking about beavers, all right? I know men enjoy talking about things that make them happy, but let's just be professional here, okay? We have some pieces of footage coming from the capital of the terrorist federation. They emerged yesterday night. Portraying some fireworks, right, taking place in the terrorist federation. Let's check this out. Yeah, so that explosion took place approximately 1.5 kilometers from those Russians recording it, all right? Kind of close. Something happened, right? We can see clouds of smoke on the horizon, and yesterday I posted about it in the social media, in the community post, and people were asking literally what was targeted, all right? And oh my God, I just noticed, like, look at this look at like those houses. The houses, and then like the mainland, all right? Holy fuck. Oh my god. And you can notice that like this line, all right, this caste is lit up. There's like life and joy and everything else, and like this fucking village is completely dark. Anyways, good contrast, right? Good contrast that actually shows you how exactly Russians live. That you go 5 kilometers out of Moscow and the life stops there. Yeah, Excel is Potemkin shithole, 100%. So we can see plumes of smoke coming from like this general direction. I literally don't know what was hit because we don't have much information. The Russians are saying that the Russian air defense intercepted up to 200 Ukrainian drones, including Flamingo, including the jet drones. I don't know why they call Flamingo drones. Maybe because they're so professional, right? They know so much about drones, missiles, and Ukrainian technology. Anyways, they say that they intercepted 200 drones, 300 Death Stars, 1 Pinocchio, 1 Terminator, and 1 flying Donald Trump. But what is the reality? I don't know. We can only tell from this one. Maybe the strike wasn't as successful as I anticipated, of course, because we don't have much footage, so we cannot tell. But we could observe a lot of panics, for example, in the Russian social media, in their Telegram channels. Here, Mayor of Muscovia, Sergei Sobyanin, reports that the Russian air defense intercepted a UAV flying to Moscow, then another one, then 2 more, then 1 more, and blah blah blah. Russian commentaries, again, like Russians were absolutely anxious, right, tonight. Where's the technical at the Kremlin? Just a second. Друзья, наши бойцы, бла-бла-бла. Кубинка, interception of UAV. Moscow, Щербинка. Щербинка, Кубинка, Жопанька. Fuck. They cannot even name their places properly. Alright, and of course, now we can see Russians also using mobile groups to intercept their drones. Judging from what they have there, all right, they have 2 lonely men standing on the street in Kremlin, all right, and we also know that the internationally wanted war criminal Putin, also known as Huilo, was evacuated from Kremlin as soon as this strike happened. So yeah, we can see the 2 Russian foxes just standing there staring in the sky, all right. And I'm comparing, for example, to Ukraine's mobile groups that are used to intercept the Russian drones. They are usually armed. So first we have more men, all right. We have projectors, we have drone rifles. The gift from Assad could be, Jilke, absolutely. We have much more equipment because not only Ukraine cares, all right, about intercepting those drones, but also Ukrainian citizens care. They supply our mobile groups with all sorts of equipment. Our international friends care as well. Fragaria, hello. Welcome to the chat. And Andrew Knight, by the way. Hello to you as well. Hello, Grace, Red Rooster, and Ruth also hello. Ellie, please, have you seen how territorial drunk vodka hobos are? Nothing get past them, but they ask drones for money. I don't know what to say here. But looking at those absolutely destitute Russians standing there, like looking for coal in their noses, and like, the hell, what the hell are we doing here, Ahmed? I don't know. They told us to come here and stare at the sky. All right, pose for picture. Ellie, by the way, prepared her version of what happened. Let me just hide myself. All right. Oh my God, I cannot turn it off. Yeah, I like this version much more. That's Hippo on the picture, by the way, wearing the hoodie. I think Hippo is already legendary dog, and I hope to see more of that, Ellie. I actually like this one. Okay. Besides that, so Russians were sharing different messages in the Telegram and stuff. Dear, I'm sorry that I don't text you in the max, but is it true that they shoot down drones near Kremlin, right? Yes, we already brought the 5th group. Ukrainians launched a lot of drones. The first one, which is Putin, was immediately evacuated. And also another thing, when this strike took place, all right, while it was happening over the terrorist federation, we could observe mass exodus of Russian strategic aviation, tactical aviation, and also Russian MiG-29 fighter jets from the Russian air bases. From the territory of the Ramenskaya airfield, 2 Tu-160 and 1 Tu-95 were scrambled, and they had to GTFO very, very fast. Also Kubinka, several Su-34, Su-35, and 6 MiG-29 also GTFO'd from there, evacuated, and also in the Russian airports Domodedovo, Chkalovsky, Sheremetyevo, Zhopovo, Pizdovo, those were also closed, all right? Those were also shut down temporarily. You can see the map with the roads of Ukrainian drones. Let me make it more readable for you. So these were going towards Rostov-na-Donu. I expect actually some more details from that area, actually, because we know what is located in Rostov, right? That poor Russian refinery that was hit already gazillion times. But Ukrainian drones just don't stop. Russian panic mode, something like that, because we don't often strike Moscow capital, but sometimes we do. Sometimes we have to, all right? Sometimes we have to remind them that they are actually fighting against Ukraine. So we have a bunch of coming to Voronezh, we have a bunch of them coming to Belgorod and towards Kursk. And then there's a bunch of them flying over Bryansk, this way towards Tver, this area, and also a bunch of them going towards Moscow, Tula, and Ryazan over here. Moscow, all right, Tula, Ryazan, they have military facilities. In Tula specifically, they have, besides oil storages, they have Tursky Tokarev, the Russian manufacturer of Russian firearms, and also Ryazan. All right, Ryazan. Fuck, The naming is just so good in the Terrorist Federation. So the Russians were spreading massively like new disinformation. Remember, earlier this year, they told Donald Trump that gazillion Ukrainians were encircled in the Kursk Oblast. Poor Ukrainian boys are there in like they're surrounded and they have no water, no food, no panties and stuff like that. Please save poor Ukrainian soldiers. And Trump went online and said, Ukrainians, you have 5,000 troops surrounded in Kursk. And since that time, we have absolutely no information coming about those boys. I don't know where they are. Every single morning, I just wake up, I pray the God to help those poor guys, because we're still looking for them, all right? We're trying to find any detail, trying to establish any contact with those 5,000 poor Ukrainian soldiers still surrounded in the Kursk Oblast. They cannot be found. Maybe Koreans ate them, I don't know. Or maybe they ate everyone in the area. Maybe the area is already proclaimed, independence from the Terrorist Federation. I have no idea. But Trump was convinced that those 5,000 Ukrainians are there because Putin told him so. And of course, Putin is very trustworthy, all right? He's the most trustworthy, most honest person who never violated anything in his fucking life. So we have another Russian fake about 5,000. I don't know why they like this number so much, 5,000, my God. About 5,000 Ukrainian soldiers surrounded in Kupiansk and Pokrovsk. So Russians were pushing that narrative for several days already. I saw it a lot in the commentaries, but basically that's fake. I think we will see one of the Russian attacks on Pokrovsk. Not on Pokrovsk, on Dobropilya, actually deflected. But anyways, we will talk about that. Speaking of this fake was obviously created for people like Donald Trump, for Americans generally. So he said that it's not the case. And of course, besides the fact that the situation in Pokrovsk is actually very, very hard because of Russian drones, all right? Because of Russian drones that make it extremely hard to operate in the area, all right? Extremely hard for the Ukrainian personnel, Ukrainian infantry on the ground. We're talking logistics, delivery of supplies to those guys and everything else. But besides that, the city is still under Ukrainian control. They have cases of daily combat with Russian invaders trying to sneak into the city, but nobody is talking about 5,000 people surrounded. It's a bullshit. And also Zelensky said that President Trump agreed that Ukrainian idea is ceasefire along the front line, along the current front line, which again, Ukraine offered an unconditional ceasefire earlier this year. Unconditional ceasefire, let's just stop shooting and start talking, all right? If you want to stop the killing, you gotta stop the shooting, as easy as that, and then we will decide. Of course, Russians will never agree on that, and now we went even further. We said, let's stop along the front line, all right? Let's consider the front line the point of countdown, all right? And let's talk. And of course, Russians will not do that because Russians want to take control over the whole Ukraine. They don't care about just Donbass. They want the whole Ukraine, whole Poland, whole Czechia, whole Slovakia, and part of Germany, all right? At least, that's Russian plan minimum. So, after this interesting case of beavers destroying the Russian Belgorod Dam, sorry, I need vape. All right, because I ran out of my coffee and I need to puff now. And by the way, my friends, we are like rushing somewhere. I don't know, like relax. Let's talk about this news. It's not, CNN or anything. It's like relaxed morning coffee and news, all right? So let's chat, let's relax and enjoy Russian cringe. So speaking of Russian cringe, after that amazing update about the flying beavers damaging Russian dam and literally flooding like gazillion of square kilometers of the terrorussian territory, we can see messages like this coming from the terrorussian propagandists and Russian so-called military reporters who actually say that as a revenge, the terrorist federation should strike the Kiev Dam, all right? And there's, for example, Kiev Dam right here. I will translate this for you. So this is Vyshgorod. Over there in this direction, all right? There's HOSTOMEL. If you go like that way. There's HOSTOMEL, Irpin, and everything else. That's where I used to work. And over here, like south, all right, south of here, that's where I used to live. So they are calling to attack the Kiev Dam. Kiev Dam is located here. It's actually a very, very big structure. It provides energy for Ukrainian citizens, for Kievan citizens, and this huge reservoir, it's tiny here, but if we go up, it's actually very, very big. It's called the Kiev Sea or the Kiev Water Reservoir. So the terrorist federation is calling to strike this dam. But the fact is, first of all, this dam is very, very big. It was designed during the Soviet times with the idea of withstanding a nuclear hit, all right? And secondly, Russians already tried to hit it multiple times, and actually they already hit it several times, all right? So, of course, they can do that, but unlike Russian dams that cannot withstand beavers, this one can actually last for quite a while, all right? This one is very tough. I can tell you from my experience, I've been there myself many times. Yeah, here we have some more hysterical Russian commentaries about the jet drones hitting Russians in their rear. Anyways, flamingos all shot down. All flamingos were shot down successfully by the Russian fuel storages. And Dnipropetrovsk, we have some footage coming from Ukrainian troops that liberated another village called Yegorivka. This one was liberated by Ukrainian defenders in Dnipro Oblast. All right. We can observe some combat taking place there. We can see Russian positions being hit, all right, and eventually that was a grenade, and eventually we can see the Ukrainian flag being installed in the liberated but unfortunately pretty much destroyed by the Russian terrorists Ukrainian village of Yegorivka. And speaking of Russian cringe, all right? Speaking of Russian cringe. In Germany, a 62-year-old Russian demanded in the local restaurant, demanded to sell him alcohol, otherwise he threatened to blow up a grenade, all right? And the personnel of this German restaurant had to actually call the police because they noticed that the dude actually had something that looked like a hand grenade. All right, so Russian spies are sometimes extremely dumb because when Russian spy wants to have a drink, of course, nothing stops him, except for the German police, okay? So they neutralized the dude. The dude himself was from Siberia. And generally, I am not surprised that Russian scum behaves in civilized countries like Russian scum, okay? So this is according to the information coming from Bild. Good to know, good to know. And again, guys, another reminder to us that we should be more careful, when, besides the fact that we live on the West, all right, this is Europe, it's safe and everything else, but it's not as safe as it used to be, unfortunately, because we have a lot of absolutely mental Russian spies, Germany, Siberia, 1-0. Yeah, we have plenty of Russian spies, Russian scum, Russian tourists. Was he improved? Jellyfish? I don't think so. I think he was detained, and yes, the real grenade was found in his pockets. And also, according to the media, this Russian individual was already sentenced for improperly operating weapons, and also he had mental problems. Alice Weidel, a leader of the far-right German Nazi movement AfD, expressed her absolute admiration to Viktor Orban and Hungary, saying that Hungary nowadays is literally a lighthouse of freedom. She said that together with Hungary, as soon as she receives power, all right, together with Hungary, they will build a new world, all right? Just to remind you, in the 30s, when German Nazi united with Hungary to build a new world, actually we know how exactly it ended, all right? So let's not forget about that one. Also, immediately after that, chief of the German Thuringia, chief of the chief of the interior. I'm losing words here. I need a puff. In the German area of Thuringia, suspected AfD in collecting intelligence for the Russian terrorists. So according to Georg Mayer, the members of the parliament of AfD are abusing their right to collect information, the informational inquiries. So they made 47 detailed requests to the authorities regarding the information on critical German infrastructure and also the measures that helped Germany counter the Russian drones flying over the German cities. So also Mark Genrichmann confirmed that he also has this impression that AfD is actually spying, spying on Germany and literally provides Terror Russia with intelligence about Germany, German law enforcement, and German infrastructure. And on the other hand, 2024, two dudes in AfD were arrested for espionage, all right, for spying for Russia. One dude arrested and tried for spying for China. I am not surprised, guys. Seriously, you take off a sock, you literally throw a sock into a bunch of AfD dudes, you hit a spy instantly. So I'm not surprised about this one, and actually I completely support the idea of freaking banning this movement, all right, because they're extremist and Nazi. And also we have some very, very interesting story. All right, let's talk about storytelling here just a bit. So on your screens you can see Pavel Filonchik. This dude was a a coach from Belarus, from Mosul, who moved to Russia and decided to work at a construction somewhere. As a freelance, whatever. So, May this year, he married a beautiful Russian woman that, again, you can see on your screens over there. This is his story. He moved to Russia. This is how he lived in Russia, right? Worked on constructions. And then he met this absolutely beautiful woman, and they met. Fuck, what they're... My God, I wanted to say they married, not they mated, they married, all right? And the story tells us that as soon as he married this Black Widow, all right, he immediately went to the war in Ukraine. Immediately. The dude is like... the dude barely said, I do, all right? He barely had his first night, and when they're like lying in the bed, she goes, by the way, do you want to sign contract, all right, and go to Ukraine? He's like, why the fuck would I do that? She's like, oh, you don't love me, you motherfucker. He's like, well, all right, sweetheart, I will do anything for you. I will sign contract, all right? So as soon as the poor fuck married this Russian woman, he signed contract, went to Ukraine, and fucking died instantly. So now, 1 month, all right, after he went to Ukraine and became a new sort of Belarusian fertilizer for Ukrainian cucumbers, now the Black Widow receives a white ladder, several million rubles, all right, from the terrorist states, and be extremely happy. Okay, that's a story with the morale, or like with the summary, all right. So if you are a Belarusian, don't go to Russia, don't marry Russian Black Widows, go to Ukraine and join the regiment of Kostuś-Kalinowski. You will live your life as a normal human being, receive citizenship, all right, you will receive asylum and shelter for all of your family members, and don't be a fool, okay? Same story, like Russell Bentley. By the way, Russell Bentley, okay? He went to Ukraine, to the occupied territory of Ukraine, because the fuck had problems with law in the United States. He was trafficking drugs and things like that. So he went to the occupied territory of Ukraine in Donbass, where he married some, again, either pro-Russian Ukrainian or Russian lady, I don't know. But he married, he started fighting against Ukrainian government, he fucking died, eventually. who else? Patrick Lancaster. The fuck is still alive, but I don't envy Patrick Lancaster, all right, because he's in the same place, all right. He married like either a Russian woman or a pro-Russian Ukrainian woman, and generally, I don't think that he will end well. It was a funny story, though. It was tragic, but my God, it was tragic. Who am I fooling here? It was funny as fuck. And as far as I remember, it's not the only case when Russian black widows literally, celebrate. Remember, the other day I showed you an interview with another Russian lady who said, yes, my husband died. Yes, I took all the money and went to Malta or where Bali, I think. She went to Bali. Because why the fuck not, Like, she's a single woman now and she has plenty of money. Of course she can go to, like, whatever, Malta and have this amazing photo set and find a new fool, make him sign contract and die, and she will be twice as rich. This is the Russian success story in 2025, my friends. Like, whatever you hear about Russian, like deep Russian mysterious soul, all right, Russian culture, amazing Russian family traditions, Russian family values and things like that, that is the perfect description of what it is in reality. And if you say that, like, fuck, you're bullshitting us, like, not all Russians are like that. My dear friends, don't be naive, all right? So, what else do we have? In Russian schools established on the occupied territories of Ukraine, Russian teachers are now spreading bullshit about the Ukrainian universities and Ukrainian schools. Basically, according to the activists of the movement Yellow Ribbon, people who do OSINT and all sorts of intelligence on the occupied territory, they say that the students of the high schools are being told that in Ukrainian schools they teach the kids things like Russophobia. They tell them to stop believing in Jesus Christ. They beat them up for speaking Russian language. And also, Ukrainian teachers promote drugs and filth. All right. First of all, I think Ukrainian teachers are the best, because if it's true and Ukrainian teachers literally promote, things like drugs and sex and probably rock and roll as well, that is the kick-ass, like the most kick-ass place to basically, I don't know, live, study, have family and everything else. Like, this is like the coolest place, all right? You will not find anything else on earth. But unfortunately, this is not the case. You can probably only imagine, Ukrainian teachers literally like, Anya, you spoke Russian language today. Stand up, come here, let us punish you for that. Now, let's talk about proper values, all right? Sex is good, drugs is good. Jesus Christ is bad, okay? And the kids are like, yes, teacher, you are right. Oh my God, this is... Oh, guys, remember I showed you this one? I showed you oh my God, we had so many updates. Okay, Ukrainian. And those guys. Where was this Russian caricature? Like this one, all right? Remember this one from the Soviet times, 1953. All right, when Russian propagandists were portraying you, my dear friends. They were saying that your healthcare is dying, your schools, your libraries, your arts are barely breathing, but here the war is sitting behind the table, and like rich Western people are feeding their money to the war. All right, they try to portray you like that, and today they are spreading the same bullshit in the schools on the occupied territories, Soviet style, literally. All right, they say like, Ukraine schools suck. They will teach you sex and drugs in Ukraine schools. Okay, don't study in Ukraine schools. They bad. They teach you gay culture. They teach you drugs. They restrict you from learning about Jesus Christ. All right, so it's very, very bad. All the teachers that were teaching Ukrainian kids the Christian ethics, because we have them in schools, I think we still have them in schools, Christian ethics, they exit the chat immediately. All right, but fuck that. Don't forget to do your home drugs. Oh my god. So let's check out some more positive updates, because we have them. All right. The company Saab, the Swedish company that produces amazing Swedish airplanes, fighter jets like Gripen, missiles, civilian aviation, and many, many other things, they decided to build a factory in Ukraine. So this factory will be producing Gripen fighter jets, and this factory is actually a part of this agreement between Ukraine and Sweden that involves 150 Gripen fighter jets that will be delivered to Ukraine. One of the options of financing the establishing of this factory is actually the frozen Russian assets that will be used to build it and produce amazing Swedish aircraft. I love Gripen aircraft, all right? Like, first of all, they look sexy, all right? They absolutely do. And secondly, they can operate from unpaved strips, meaning gravel, grass, dirt, Russians, whatever. And it means that you don't necessarily need to store them at an air base. They can be stored literally anywhere, all right? We have plenty of highways, plenty of different places where we can store those aircraft. And of course, they are natively using the NATO bombs, missiles, all sorts of NATO equipment, meaning that they are already integrated with NATO weaponry that Ukraine is receiving nowadays. All right. So what else do we have? We have information coming from Ukrainian defenders, all right, who showcased their unmanned units exterminating the Russian mosquitoes and Russian cockroaches in the area of Dobropilya. So we can see the so-called mechanized Russian attack, which doesn't really look like mechanized because Russians don't really have mechanized vehicles anymore. All right, so we can see one Chinese golf cart becoming good. We can see them now running in a different direction, in the opposite direction, all right, while those bikers and those golf players are trying to still go forward. So this Russian mechanized cringenized attack effectively failed. And guys, this one is only one among many, all right? We've already seen, for example, the Magyar's birds, all right, that improve Russians big time. And watching this in the morning actually makes me very, very happy. What else do we have? We have warning coming from the Center for Countering Russian Disinformation, a Ukrainian organization. It's a very, very big establishment, very, very serious institution that studies Russian fakes, Russian bullshit, basically Russian world, all right? And they say that very, very soon the Russian propagandists will be concentrating on the informational campaign, discrediting European and American sanctions, and also ramping up the nuclear threats addressed at our Western allies. We will see more narratives that sanctions don't change anything in terms of Russian economy, but they only hurt Europeans and Americans themselves. Guys, the closest example is heroic British city of Cardiff, all right? 2022, Russians were already saying that the sanctions only hurt Europeans themselves. For example, Germany started massively buying candles because Germans cannot keep themselves warm, and they started buying candles massively, all right? Like literally you go down a street in Germany, you can see candle burning in the every window because Germans want to use them for heating, all right? And also Cardiff, where women have to do prostitution to survive, their men lost their jobs. On the other hand, how exactly do you do prostitution, all right, if all the men lost their jobs? What the fuck is that? How does it work? Like, I work for food or something, I don't know. Anyways, Russian propagandists didn't explain how exactly it works, but they said that yes, in Cardiff, the sanctions that UK placed against Russia actually hurt Cardiff the worst, all right? Again, much love and the best wishes to the amazing people of Cardiff. All my love and respect goes to you right now. So what else do we have? Also, we expect that Russians will escalate the campaign of the nuclear threats. They will be showcasing their буревестник, хуевестник, all sorts of Russian Wunderwaffe, Russian laser cannons installed on their satellites and things like that. They will be threatening the world, specifically Western countries, with the nuclear apocalypse as much as they can, all right? As much as they're able to do that, because the biggest weapon that they have at this moment is not nuclear weapons, actually. The biggest weapon they have nowadays is literally Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan, all right? Like, those will be targeted enormously by the Russian nuclear weapons. Russians will be bombing Joe Rogan personally with their nuclear bombs every single day, all right? Through imbeciles like Dave Smith and other Russian degenerates. So what else? Also, we can anticipate that a campaign of blaming United States and Europe in canceling negotiations, the peace negotiations, will be also activized. So we can expect this campaign to expand. We can expect that Russians will be discrediting the coalition of the willing, and we can also expect the increasing hysteria regarding the Black Winter, so-called Black Winter in Ukraine. You will freeze, you will eat hamsters and everything else. Basically everything that we've already heard throughout the years, all right? And we have some very, very interesting update that I would really like to talk about since we are approaching the end of today's stream, my friends. Let me catch a breath, all right, and also have a puff. Morning town, Lisbeth. Yeah, like this one, for example. Russian propaganda said energy was so low, Brits were eating hamsters for Christmas dinners a few years ago. Not only hamsters, also birds, literally. Like, you ate all the birds in the United Kingdom, all right? You don't know that, apparently, but you really did. Wish we would learn the ancient Greek sources. It will help him stop getting fingered by so-called scholars. Oh my god. Heroyam Slava, Luke, hello. Puddle ice cream is a Russian favorite. Russia has a different favorite ice cream, alright? It's called Yellow Snow. That one is just so good. It's trending in Russia nowadays. What else? Yeah, Ukrainians, Europe and the UK eating hamsters again this year. We can anticipate that, my friend. I think if some of the German bakery or generally somebody in Europe invents, like for example, tiny chocolate hamsters and start selling them for Christmas, that will be amazing. I think this person will become extremely rich. Especially in Cardiff, by the way. Are there any hamsters left in Cardiff? Only the most resilient ones, my friend. Those who managed to escape. Those who were, outside eating the leftovers from like birds and stuff, only those. Brown snow is their favorite too, I can confirm that. They enjoy this shit. Don't mind eating hamsters in the USA, they're eating the cats and the dogs. So, first of all, it's a different thing, alright? Only Haitians in the USA eat cats and dogs. But generally, if we take a look at the United States, for example, and if we consider all the information coming from the Russian sources about the United States since like 70s, alright, United States was supposed to collapse in like 1961 already because your schools were so bad, people were gay, alright, and your culture was collapsing. People in the United States had absolutely no heart, no soul. They would just make money and live a wealthy life, which was absolutely empty and stuff like that. Guys, you are supposed to collapse before the Soviet Union actually collapsed, all right? But for some reason, the Soviet Union was first. And also, for some reason, the Soviet Union was the country that would receive humanitarian aid from the United States and all those bush legs, the cheap chicken and stuff like that. I eat beaver. My friend... most of us do, to save the trees, all right? To save the beautiful forests. Sometimes we gotta do that. It's not because, like, we enjoy doing it or feeling happy about it, but we have to, because we have to save the forests. Sweden may sometimes need permission from the US when using military technology. Of course. Because generally speaking, NATO shares a lot of technologies which should stay in NATO, all right? What happens in the beaver den stays in the beaver den. So if you want to sell to pass technologies to the third countries, of course, time to time you have to ask like permission for that. We are witnessing such a crazy moment of history, my dear friends. It's like when Ukraine tried to become a NATO member for such a long while. And nowadays, Ukraine, with its drone technologies, with its experience of fighting against NATO's biggest adversary, is literally becoming the NATO itself, because we can see so many countries cooperating and asking Ukraine for its experience and technologies nowadays. That is something absolutely crazy. And by the way, Russians are talking a lot about this. That's insane. I love beavers that munch my tree. My dear friend, my OnlyFans account is the place where we discuss all that stuff, but it's only for premium subscribers. We can talk about it there. I would be happy, right? Where is the best place to hide an elephant? on the OnlyFans. Had an alligator burger once, tasted shitty. I had a bunch of alligator snacks that were sent to me by my good friend Jake from Jake the Croat from United States. They were surprisingly good. All right, they were extremely hot and like spicy, like they tasted like fire, like rocket fuel, but they were nice. All right, for some reason I like them so much. Read news that Russian cyber attacks are very strong these days. And Paul, by the way, it's a very interesting topic because Germany is passing a new law that will allow German cyber forces to actively respond to the cyber threats. Germany leads the way, seriously. Not in all cases, of course. But generally, it's so cool to see them, at least, working in this direction. That's quite inspiring. How will the sanctions affect the regional Rosneft and Gazprom facilities, like in Hungary and Romania? Also, thoughts on those recent explosions in both countries. I cannot tell you much about those explosions. I believe that it was literally due to the reckless smoking, all right? Because we can see, for example, in Russia, when Russian employees recklessly smoke in improper places, and that's basically what they have. All right. But speaking of the regional Rosneft and Gazprom facilities, the sanctions will not change much for them, but they will change much generally for the terrorist federation itself, because they will be also targeting the consumer countries, all right? And this is important. So there are already rumors, which again I cannot confirm, because rumors come from like India and China and Trump, and they are excluding each other all the time, all right? But what they're saying is that the main narrative is that Chinese and Indian companies are now trying to reroute their oil import sources. Most probably they will be buying more from countries like Canada, for example, because Canada can provide also Azerbaijan, and those countries are our like allies, of course. So that would be good. The other thing, like what I can anticipate, is that Russians will be increasing their shadow fleet, all right? And they will be delivering more and more, smuggling more and more oil and gas to, for example, India or China, using their shadow fleet. So we can expect not 600, 900, but I believe thousands of Russian tankers, which means that maybe as a response soon after that, we will be also anticipating to see more and more good unidentified drones targeting those tankers, all right, in places like Russian oil terminals and things like that. So we will see this response eventually. That's something that I anticipate, because generally that's the only sort of sanctions that actually work, all right? The sanctions that are brought on the wings of good unidentified drones. I wanted to talk about the latest update, all right? So according to the all centers, Russia is sending its mercenaries and weaponry to Venezuela. All right, that is basically one step away from the war with the United States. All right, we know about the situation developing there. And for example, yesterday in Caracas, a Russian Il-76 was spotted. It landed there. Il-76 is a cargo airplane, one of those airplanes that were supposed to land in HOSTOMEL, but they never did in 2022. So this one specific aircraft, this one is sanctioned, and it landed in Caracas in Venezuela. It took off on 22nd of October. It landed in Yerevan, Algiers, Rabat, Dakar, and Nouakchott, and then it landed in Caracas in Venezuela. So this Russian company is already sanctioned because it was delivering cargo for Wagner. Right? They were delivering weapons and ammunition to Venezuela and Africa, according to the OSINTers. What does it say to us? It says that Russia conducts weapons delivery to Venezuela, also to African countries, but specifically to Venezuela, because Venezuela is preparing for possible war with the United States. Also, there is a high risk that they will be sending their Wagnerites to Venezuela as well. And what it means? It means that very, very soon Venezuelan army will be enforced by Russian experts, all right, Russian terrorists that have experience of fighting in Africa, Syria, and Ukraine, and also very much efficient in using the drone warfare. So what it means is that I would not underestimate the threat, because, for example, if this very aircraft, all right, if this very aircraft that can actually ship huge cargoes, all right, huge loads of cargo, if this very aircraft delivered a bunch of, for example, Shahed drones or FPV drones to Venezuela together with drone operators, it means that we will see that the United States, that at this point are not prepared to the drone warfare, all right, they will face Russian drones immediately, and that would cause a lot of casualties among the United States soldiers in case this conflict happens, all right, in case it takes place for real. Just so you could understand, all right? Of course, Russians will be saying, those are not our drones, that is not our plane, that is not Shaheds killing your soldiers, all right? Even though they look like ones, but they're not ours, all right? We didn't make them, we didn't ship them to Venezuela, but I can make sure that it doesn't happen, all right? I can make sure, I can fix everything, I can solve. So that's something that we should keep in mind, all right? Something rather concerning. Have Ukrainian priests of church representatives started dialogue with other regional Orthodox representatives? And if so, what are some of the points of discussion? Ukrainian priests or church representatives, other regional. Look, we had PTSU, all right? In 2019, as far as I remember, we switched from different movements inside of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine. We switched to this one united Ukrainian church, PTSU, Ukrainian Orthodox Church. And this church actually united, if this is your question, this church actually united different movements. The very idea was to unite all the churches under the single Ukrainian Orthodox Christian Church, all right, that reports to the global Orthodox Patriarch who lives in Istanbul. All right, like any other Orthodox Church in the world, except for Russia, because Russia doesn't recognize the power of this global Patriarch Bartholomew. So we started doing that since 2019. We launched the process. We received the approval from the global Patriarch, and basically a lot of even Russian Orthodox churches, they decided to switch and become part of the main united Ukrainian Orthodox Church. So we have this process in Ukraine. It's ongoing, all right? It continues. A lot of Russian churches that also attempted to switch, they were intimidated actually by the Russian Patriarch, by Russian KGB agent Kirill Gundyaev. They were actually intimidated, and there were such cases because, of course, Moscovia doesn't want to lose this influence. And it was a very, very big strike to the Russian Moscovia. My question was in relation to other Orthodox countries in the region, for clarification, because some may still be getting their light from Moscow. It depends. Like in the Orthodox environment, right? In the environment of the Orthodox churches, of course, churches cooperate all the time. Like they keep this dialogue with other countries, of course. Like, for example, there is the global Patriarch, all right, in Istanbul. And all the Orthodox churches in Georgia, Ukraine, Poland, Czechia, Slovakia, like in all those countries, in Armenia, they all report to the global Patriarch in Istanbul, global Orthodox Patriarch. Russia doesn't report to anybody. They think that they are the only true church, all right, only true Orthodox church. They report basically to Putin. That's all. So other churches, for example, in Georgia or European countries, they don't report to Moscow, all right? They don't report to Russia. They have their own chief. Like Catholics have Roman Pope. They have the global Patriarch in Istanbul. So they don't really report to Russia, but for example, the disinformation that we can observe in those countries, it doesn't come from the local Orthodox communities or Orthodox churches. They actually come directly from the Russian Orthodox parishes. For example, in the United States, there's more than 1,000 Orthodox parishes, specifically Russian Orthodox parishes. And those are the ones that are used as spy networks to literally collect intelligence, recruit people, smuggle shit, and basically conduct all sorts of terrorist attacks. So Orthodox Church by itself, like there's nothing special, nothing threatening against it. The Russian Orthodox Church that doesn't report to the chief of the Russian Church, that reports to Putin, all right, instead of global patriarch, they are the threat. All right, they are the threat. They were established in Russia in 1943 based on KGB agents, like legit KGB agents. And they keep this tradition running, all right? So those are dangerous. And they operate in other countries, unfortunately, massively. Oh my God, what can I see here? All right, we are switching to the main topic of today's stream, my dear friends. Let's talk about food. Immediately, like, you know, the part of the Russian bots, you know, like following the stream exits the chat because they cannot stand the talks about food, because they don't know what the proper food is. Hopefully our collective efforts are able to stop the spread of Ruski Mir. Absolutely, yeah. Ukrainians have a very, very deep and tight dialogue with Orthodox communities. I can tell. Ukrainian representatives always go to United States, to Canada, to other more or less Orthodox countries. One thing I can tell is that Russians are working really hard to stop Ukrainian Orthodox communities from cooperating with, for example, Georgian Orthodox Church, because for reasons we all know, they try to literally destroy the friendship that Ukrainians and Georgians had for so many years, and I'm speaking specifically about the pro-Russian government ruling this country, and the way they hacked Georgia is absolutely insane. Considering 2008, oh my God. I remember 2010, I was in Tbilisi, and I talked about it. I was in Tbilisi, we went to oh my God, I forgot the name of the place. Anyways, we went to see the basilica, so-called basilica, the one of the oldest churches in Georgia, and the tour guide, like the lady who explained everything about like what we see and everything else, she spoke in Russian, and I see a guy wearing like Georgian military shirt, like Georgian pixel camel. And he walks up to us and he's like, "Are you Russians?" We're like, "No, dude, don't insult us, please. We're not Russians. We're proper people, all right? We're proper guys." He's like, "Why do you speak Russian?" And he asks this tour guide, "Why do you speak Russian?" And she explains that, unfortunately, I cannot speak Ukrainian, but these Ukrainian guests understand Russian language. So this is why I'm like, we can understand English easily, all right? So, and he's like, "Ukrainians, you sure? Where are you from?" We're like, "Kyiv." And he starts smiling. He's like, "Oh my God, Kyiv. Oh, you know, like hugs and wine." And 3 days I cannot really remember after that, all right? But that was the attitude back in those days, 2010, fucking 15 years after that, and we can see the pro-Russian government, people protesting on the streets again. That is fucked up. I have no words to describe what I feel. All right, what do we have in the chat? First of all, we have burritos with hamsters, all right? That's trending nowadays. Also, we have Lenten meatballs and rice plugs veg for lunch. We have Mexican tacos. And we even have taco hamster living in the Trump's wig. Shida kakashka pisha nasha. Yeah, she and poo is the Russian food. Funny story, a Romanian pro-Ukrainian live stream. I had the official Roskomnadzor YouTube channel come in to spread more. Fuck, really? As a mod, that was one of my most satisfying bands ever. Brofist, right here. That's so cool. Roskomnadzor, oh my god. Writer's Eye, hello. Hello, my friend. I buy hamburger frozen meat patties. I buy those too, all the time. Happy holiday, New Zealand. Happy holiday from me as well. I buy those too, actually. I bought like a lot of packs of frozen hamburgers, actually, and they're fantastic. Yesterday, we had... I don't have photo. I do have I don't have a photo. Ha! I cannot miss opportunity to torture you, my dear friends. Of course I have photo, all right? So yesterday we had proper homemade kebab with French fries, all right? Well, homemade. I mean, like, this kebab is, of course, the frozen kebab that I buy in the, like, in different German stores, all right? But this one is so good. I found a way to fry it properly in the air fryer, because previously I would, for example, put the meat on top and potato on the bottom, all right? So in the end, I would have, for example, meat crispy and basically turning into like coils, and potato was undercooked. This time I put potato on top and meat on the bottom, all right? And it was good. Potato fried properly. It took me like 10 minutes to fry everything because I used 240 Celsius temperature, 10 minutes. I literally grilled the shit out of potato and the chicken. But the problem is the chicken was kind of like, it was fine. It was prepared. It was cooked. It was, as you can tell, like it was soft and everything else. I spiced it with extra hot chili sauce and yogurt. Yogurt, literally just yogurt without anything. That's Turkish yogurt over there. But the problem is the meat was like too soft. When I removed the meat from the bottom of the air fryer, there was a lot of juice, all right, on the bottom. So I don't know what to do. I need like one more level probably. I don't know. I need something to collect that juice because the meat itself was cooked, but it wasn't grilled. That's the word. So I gotta solve this one. Maybe I will just be like dropping everything together into the upper section. I don't know. I gotta experiment. I will let you know, all right? But the French fries were fine. Chicken was good. It was so soft. Oh my god! It tasted like in Ukraine actually. And I have a tower air fryer. I have like this Ninja Speedy, you know. It's not exactly an air fryer, but it works as air fryer. But the problem is like when you cook the chicken, if the chicken is upstairs, for example, and potato is on the bottom, all the chicken juice goes down and mixes with potato, which generally is not bad. Potato tastes better, all right? It's soaked with chicken juice. But on the other hand, potato doesn't feel crunchy after that. All right, it's too soft, it's under grilled, and it's not crunchy. While the meat on the top is kind of crunchy, but a bit too much. So I don't know. I need something. I need something to collect like the juice. All right. Boil the chicken just in oil. Maybe I will just I will use a frying pan. I don't know. Maybe I will just drop the potato in the air fryer because it cooks well in the air fryer, and I will just drop the chicken on the frying pan and pan the shit out of it. But the idealist inside of me, all right, idealist inside of me wants to cook everything in the same device because it saves time. It's just 10 minutes. I don't know. Like the coolest thing about devices like that Ninja Speedy is that, for example, you can prepare a meal with the garnier, all right, with the, either rice or potato or whatever, and the meat or chicken or like shrimps or anything, you can use the same device to cook everything immediately. You should only remember that whatever is on the bottom takes longer time to prepare, which logically concludes that you can take the veggies, for example, you can put them on the top, the meat goes on the bottom, but the problem is the juice. Like if meat is too juicy, then it won't taste the way I imagine. I was the king of the one-pot meal when I was single. Oh my god. Potato chicken stew is one of my favorites, especially now in the cold season. Potato chicken stew. Maybe I should just, instead of like kebab, doner kebab, maybe I should just try stews. I don't know. Use separate pan for meat to catch the juice. Maybe that's something that I will do, right? Because what the hell, frying pan is a proper place to cook everything. So I need more coffee. But you need to turn it halfway. Yes, exactly. For example, in the have you ever seen the cartoon Angry Beavers? I did. I saw like living Angry Beavers myself. Sometimes. The problem is. The problem is that I want to cook everything in the same, like in the same device. That's the thing. But I will find the way. I love all chicken and salmon meals. Yeah, and I enjoy frying salmon in the air fryer so much. The beautiful thing about air fryer is that the platform you load everything onto it has holes, it has ventilation from below, so everything gets cooked perfectly well. Sometimes you don't even need to turn the food inside of it, like it doesn't matter because there's holes and everything is getting cooked well. So I don't know. I cook chicken for 20 minutes first. Yes, it's logical, it's good, it's possible, I agree. There's a challenge though. The challenge is I want to cook it faster, all right? Because, for example, that stuff, like this stuff, took me only 10 minutes to prepare, all right? Literally 10 minutes, you know, like when you feel hungry, especially if you are me, all right? You feel hungry, mad, grumpy, you just run around throwing things. And it's really cool if you can literally cook everything, all right? You just drop everything in the same device in 10 minutes and you can already start munching. So that works for me. I'm like, again, every military will understand me. We don't like to waste time on cooking shit. We prefer time, we value time more than the food quality. But on the other hand, I want to face this challenge and I want to find a way to cook everything properly and fast. And that's the thing. That's currently like the problem I'm trying to solve. I'm almost ashamed to admit it, but I tried the shark once. My friend, I am happy that it wasn't vice versa. So don't be ashamed, all right? I'm glad it wasn't the other way around. So. Pressure cooker can speed up slow process. I agree. In Ukraine, for example, I had pressure cooker and it was really, really, really good, by the way. It would speed up everything. Like the food would take probably 1/3 of time faster, you know, to prepare everything. It was so good. I would literally drop rice and meat and carrots, onions, garlic, everything. I would drop everything in the pressure cooker, cook everything, and then I would have literally a whole pot of plov, Uzbek plov, like real Uzbek plov. And I would munch on it for a whole week because it was enough to feed me for like a whole week. Yeah. And actually, I missed that one. I left the cooker in Kiev, and I missed that one. Grumpy Star. Oh, brother, you don't know. Seriously. I'm not just grumpy. When I'm hungry, I wanna eat everyone. I wanna eat even beavers. All right, so bad when I'm hungry. Just like tear them apart. Filipino chicken adobo is so easy, quick, and delicious. Filipino chicken adobo. I never tried that. They're so ancient, I bet the flavor is robust. Oh my god. Have you ever heard about a Greenland shark? So that motherfucker lives for almost 6 centuries, all right? Like the breeding period, the breeding capability of those sharks, they only reach it when they're like 100 years old, all right? They're slow, they are menacing, absolutely menacing. They look scary, all right? They're slow, they're scary, they live deep, like kilometers deep in the ocean. Sometimes, though, they surface to snatch a piece of like a seal or walrus or something like that. And sometimes when you find a Greenland shark, like the people, the biologists who study those, they find Greenland sharks with harpoons still sticking in them that were made out of like bone and wood in like 16th century or even earlier. How fucking crazy is that? So those are the longest living creatures on Earth, as far as I can tell. And their meat is extremely dangerous. It smells like pee because it contains specific chemicals that actually, Господи Боже, іди їсти. I will, Martha, I swear. They are extremely dangerous because of those chemicals, all right? But at the same time, wait a second. Just a second. Привіт. Так. Так. Sorry, had to reply. At the same time, people of Greenland actually found a way how to eat that meat. Like actually they hunt those Greenland sharks, they process the meat for a very, very long while. They dry it or something like that. They soak it in some things, and then they can actually eat it, which I don't know. I'm not sure if I would enjoy that one. Because in this case, I would literally prefer, even surströmming would probably taste better. But that's their culture. That's what they do. There are so many crazy stories about those people. For example, there was a very, very interesting book. I forgot the name of this book, but it was written by a doctor, all right? A doctor who investigated different crazy cases. Crazy cases. For example, cases of like Soviet soldiers taking a bath in like a water tower, all right? Like you can imagine a water tower, the most common thing, all right? A water tower, and they go there inside and they bathe inside and stuff like that, and there's a hole on the bottom of this tower, like in the floor. One of the dudes decide to just sit down on this hole to stop the water from going down, all right? So the level would rise in the tower and the guys would have a bath. So he sits down with his bare ass on this hole, starts screaming, and fucking dies because the water tower was located very, very high, and there's this long pipe. And when he sat on this hole, the pressure in the pipe literally stretched all of his intestines through his rear and literally sucked everything, from him. So things like that. Another interesting way to become a better Russian, though, I admit. But one of the craziest stories that I heard was about several American pilots who actually had to crash land in Greenland, and one of those pilots, he was actually a grand kid of one of the local people, all right? And he said, guys, I know that the local people, the indigenous population of Greenland, sometimes they leave some things that are supposed to save them during winter. For example, they take a deer, any other animal, they bury it, or was it in Canada? Anyways, it was long ago and I have dementia. So he says they take, for example, a deer. They bury the deer, all right? And then they leave this like a grave, all right, with the deer inside. For a while, for half a year, for a year or something. And then they mark the place. So of course the deer gets fragmented, not the words. It becomes like surströmming basically, okay? And then they eat those things. So for example, you're hungry or somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you find this place, okay, because they leave different marks to mark this place. You find it, you dig out the body of the animal, and you eat it, all right? So tastes funny, all right? Smells also funny, but you can eat it. And the pilots that crash landed there and they had to survive, they decided, fermented, thank you. So they decided to find such a place and find that fermented body and basically save themselves, right? So they found that the grave, the ration, all right, the MRE, the local MRE, they found it. They dug out the body, they ate the meat, so all the pilots died except for one, except for this very dude who told them about this tradition, all right? And the doctor who studies this, he came to a conclusion that the reason they died was because when the body is getting fermented, of course it produces different poisons, all right? There's all sorts of shit inside of it. Like it boils from within, all right? All those germs and bacteria, they create this amazing boiling soup of alien sorts of life that can actually kill you instantly, all right, as soon as you eat it. But this guy who survived, his ancestors were local, so they had immunity. Why? Because in their culture, for example, man returns home bringing like a deer, all right? And he has a baby, for example. He cuts the piece of a deer, like literally a piece of meat, and gives it to the baby to suck. And the baby sucks it as if it's like a pacifier, for example, all right? So because this meat already starts producing the poison, all right? The corpse poison, you know what I'm talking about. It already starts like fermenting. So the baby receives just a bit of it. And through generations, they start building the immunity towards this stuff. So basically, they can literally bury a walrus, and then a year later, they can just eat it, and they will feel fine. Other people will die immediately, all right? Or, for example, we could observe the same. Grace is so hungry when we talk about dead walruses and fermented deers. I feel you. I feel you, my friend. So, for example, the same thing with conquistadors who arrived to the Southern America and brought, for example, alcohol, all right? And local population would get poisoned with this alcohol because they were not used to it, all right? Humans, since the times of not only ancient Greeks, but like ancient Egyptians who actually made beer, they were more or less accustomed to process the alcohol, but the population, the native population of South America and Northern America, they were not. All right, they could not process the alcohol like Europeans could. That's why they were poisoned. They had severe alcohol poisoning many times. So those things are absolutely insane, but they are so interesting to read, to learn. I gotta find that book actually. I hope that I will find it. Fermented beaver. Oh my God, it's bad. You gotta wash your beaver often. All right, fermented beaver smells funny. Just ate olives pickled in chili and lemon juice. That's nice. Same as milk, by the way, but the problem with milk is that approximately 60% of Europeans have a specific gene that allows us to process milk. All right, 40% Europeans don't have it. However, surprisingly, almost 100% Ukrainians do. We do have that gene inside of us. And this gene emerged basically among the people who actually Mabahandula, I think you need a friend. Okay, I think I will find a new friend for you very, very soon. This gene emerged in people who used milk to survive the ice age. All right, they used cows to produce milk, and because they were prepared for this, they trained themselves. They prepared themselves, all right? They evolved, that's the word. So they could withstand the low temperatures and they could survive, and basically they have this widespread culture of domesticated cows, milk, cheese, and everything else. Surprisingly to me, again, as a Ukrainian, we all drink milk in Ukraine, we all eat cheese and everything else. I was so much surprised to learn that almost 40% Europeans cannot consume milk. Wow, that was crazy. Same with Asians. A classmate at school used to be completely drunk when he drank like 2 beer. Which is surprising, because, for example, if we take Japanese sake, that is like barely 10% alcohol, something 10, maybe 20. Basically like strong beer, you know. But oh my god, I love it so much. Smetana, Ukrainians have it with almost everything. Ukrainians have it with everything, without almost, all right? Starsky, what comes after 69? Marriage. Marriage comes after 69. In most cases, in proper countries. My Polish grandma did some crazy stuff with old milk. Yeah. Probably today I will visit that Polish store and I will get myself some of sweet cheese that we have. It's like cottage cheese. It's called tvorog, all right? And I will get that one because I miss it so much. We have this sweet cheese with raisins, with vanilla taste. I'm drooling right now. Gouda is Gouda. That's my favorite, by the way. I don't know why I like Gouda so much, but it's just so good. I also enjoy proper cheese with mold, but like gorgonzola, for example. But you gotta find the proper one. Right? There was some Polish cheese. That one was really, really good. I remember it was like with this blue mold. It was like spicy. I could eat like 1 kilogram instantly. And it's sold in Ukraine. I've been to this Polish store. I didn't find it for some reason. I love smoked cheese. You would definitely love suluguni, my friend. The Georgian smoked cheese. They like it's so It's so tasty. I'm not a big fan myself, but people who enjoy Georgian cuisine, usually they just eat kilograms of suluguni. It's perfect. It's smoked cheese, smells like fire. Yeah, Gorgonzola, that's where we start, absolutely. But you gotta find a proper one. Because one time I had to throw away a whole bunch of Gorgonzola because I unpacked it. It looks like Gorgonzola, but it doesn't smell like Gorgonzola and it doesn't taste like Gorgonzola. And actually it was really, really bad. So I literally had to throw it away because nobody wanted to eat it, including myself. Monterey Jack cheese. Is a mild, buttery, semi-hard cow's milk cheese from California with excellent melting properties. Let me see what it looks like. So, it looks like this, right? Of course, the image doesn't transfer the taste of it. Yeah. We have something that we call Sir Ukraina. So we have something, I would say, rather similar, like it's very soft, all right? Usually it looks like this, like it has a light color, all right? Like that. And it's soft and it has like sour-ish, salt-ish taste, and the smell is so good. It smells like proper cheese. You know, like you wake up in the morning, you have a cup of tea or coffee and a piece of bread with butter and this stuff on top of it. That's like some of my best memories, all right, since childhood. I think they have this one in the Polish store. I gotta check it out. Yeah, it does look like butter, but it's not. Like, it's really cheese. It's solid, but it's soft at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. Like when it looks like plastic, Michael. Exactly. When it's very, very fresh, it's light, looks like plastic or butter, but it's basically cheese. You cut it, it behaves like cheese, all right, but it's very soft and it's like it has this amazing aroma. You know, cannot explain. Guys, I am literally starving right now. Seriously, it's been a long stream. All right, it's been torturing. We even discussed the shark steaks. Okay, guys, I will run and have something, which I also advise for you, my friends. Enjoy something, treat yourself with something good. We all deserve this. Also, don't forget to leave your commentaries. I'm trying to reply to all of those as much as possible. And do you like lard? Of course, every Ukrainian loves lard. And thank you so much for watching. I'll keep you updated. I also, oh my God, I'm already running pass my deadlines. We'll have another update on UATV today. I will also let you know in the community posts. So big thanks, my friend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay well fed, because we deserve it. All right. See you later. And as always, be safe. Bye-bye.